All right, welcome to another episode of Fullcourt Passport. I'm Rick Bucher. That is Boston Boki Nachbar, and we are joined by a very special guest, Gui Santos of the Golden State Warriors, 2019 gold medal winner with Brazil, the U17 team in the South America Championships. Gui, thanks you so much for joining us. And by the way, first of all, I want to make sure that I am pronouncing it the way you would pronounce it in Brazil, because here on Fullcourt Passport, we are very conscious of having a lot of international players on here, and we don't want to Americanize names. We are going with how they should be pronounced. So
I like what you did because I was about to say that because you didn't say Gui Santos, you said Gui Santos. That's nice. I like it. That's how you say it.
Thank you. Trust me, Boki is working with me. He's bringing me along. So I have to say, you right now stand as potentially the only Brazilian in the NBA. There is Tristan da Silva with the Orlando Magic. That's why I was asking the question. Born in Germany, plays for the German national team. So based on that reaction, you're not on a NBA Brazil chat with Tristan. You're not claiming him as a brother.
No, Tristan is a great guy. I already talked to him. We had conversations before. But he was born and raised in Germany, So for me, as a citizen, for you to be from a country, you gotta be born and raised it until a certain point, so you can have the roots of that country on you, and that's happened with him with Germany. So he just won the
Eurobasket.
Yeah. So I believe that he's now German and more than Brazilian.
Fair enough.
First of all, I just want to comment that, I'm from the older generation, and a player that you might know, or at least the name, but I think you know him well, Marcelinho Huertas is a good friend of mine. I played with him in FC Barcelona, and we remain good friends. But the funny thing is, he's still playing. I don't know if you know, he's one of the oldest players in Europe right now. Not just playing, but dominating still as a point guard. So that's where all my respect for Brazilian players go. When I think Brazilian basketball, I think of Marcelinho Huertas, and he played in the NBA a couple of years. Rick, you remember him, Marcelinho Huertas with the Lakers?
I do.
Quickly, maybe describe your way or your path from Brazil to the NBA. And a sub question: did you ever consider playing college?
So let's start from the beginning, right? Like my dad and my mom both played basketball. But my mom stopped playing so she can follow my dad around when we were moving from city to city, because he was playing the pro league in Brazil for 20 years. And when he retired, I was 11, but I started playing when I was 9. Yeah, I was 9 when I started playing like team 5-on-5 and all that. I was playing with the guys U12. So I was 3 years younger. I was skinny. I was like smaller than everybody. So I had to start playing point guard. Then we moved to Brasilia. That is my hometown, the capital of Brazil. We stayed there for like 3 years. And when I was 14 to 15, I moved to Belo Horizonte. That is in Minas Gerais. That is another state of Brazil. So I moved there by myself so I can play in Minas. That was the club that I was playing before I got here. And for me, I never had the opportunity to play college because when I got to Minas, I signed a pro deal. And when I signed it, I didn't know that if I signed a pro deal, I cannot play in college. They changed their rule now, but by that time, I cannot do it. So because I signed the pro, I had no chance to play college because they were paying me money to play. And that was kind of like how it goes by that time. So I understand that for me to make to the NBA, I will play and I have to shine playing between the pros and be a good version of me and just be like a young guy with a good prospect. So yeah, that's what I did. I wanted to play college, of course, but I never had the chance because of this contract that I signed.
How different was your game with Minas, the way you played, the role that you had, compared to what you've had since you've come to the NBA?
I was a completely different player. Like I was a point guard. I had the ball in my hand the whole game. I couldn't take decisions. I was like dribbling around and playing one-on-one and all that. So I was a point guard, basically. So when I got here, I remember one of the coaches came to me and said, Gui, you got Steph Curry on your team. So you got to learn how to play without the ball. And I said, all right, I will do whatever I need to do to make to the NBA. And that's what happened. I started playing more as a 3, 4. Sometimes I was playing like as a center in a G League with the Santa Cruz. And that's how I learned to play without the ball, crash the boards, I I was learning how to impact the game without the ball in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I saw you in those early years with Santa Cruz, and I'm curious because you needed to find out how to play a role. And it wasn't like you were a primary player. It was kind of figuring out how to fit in and develop the skills that would allow you to fit in. What was that like for you, especially as a young player? Because most everybody, especially as former point guard, you want the ball in your hands. You want to show what you can do. And
Yeah.
that's not what I saw you doing in Santa Cruz, and it's obviously paid off for you. But I wonder what that experience was like, learning how to play a role that doesn't necessarily end up with a lot of numbers in the box score.
Yeah. So that was one big shock for me because when I got here in the G League, I thought that I had to make like 30 points and 10 rebounds to go to the NBA. So that what I had in my mind. But the coaches came into me and said, "Gui, you don't need to do any of that. We just need you to play hard. We need you to play good defense. We need you to space the floor and make quick decisions. That's what's gonna make you go to the NBA." So for me, I was a point guard, having the ball in my hand, doing all decisions and all that. And then I was like one of the last options in the offense, not because I was not good enough to be there, but because they were teaching me how to play a way that I will play if I go up to Golden State.
Mm.
And for me, when they talk to me and they teach me like that, I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you guys. I'm going to start doing everything that you guys asking me to do. I knew that I could do more, but at the same time, I was like, no, they wanted me to do that. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to start keeping doing what I'm doing. And when I have the opportunity, I can still showing. Like, the good part is I still haven't. I still can be a point guard. Still can pass the ball. But if I don't need to show that, okay, I don't show you. I just play hard.
You know, we have one more thing in common. Not just that we both know Marcelinho Huertas. We both played in Nike Hoop Summit. And I just checked your birth date. You actually were born, I don't know exactly when I was drafted, but it was late June 2002. So just around the time that you were born, I was drafted in the NBA.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm old and you're a perfect age to play basketball and to be successful and to enjoy it. But my question is regarding Nike Hoop Summit, your memories of it and what you learned from it, and how did that open your eyes for American basketball and the experience, the exposure you had?
So I think I was one of the most unlucky guys about that because the year that I had supposed to play the Nike Hoop Summit was the pandemic happened. So we never really had the game. We never really traveled to play the Nike Hoop Summit. But I had still having the jersey and all the Nike stuff and all that, but we never met to play. For me, the first shock, like about the best American basketball and all that, came when I came for the draft in 2021 that I put my name in the draft, and I was working out with the guys who came in from college, and all the guys was stronger, explosive. They were all better than me, and that was a shock. I say, oh, if I want to go there, I gotta make my way, get stronger, quicker, and like jump higher and everything. So I withdraw my name that year, and in 2022, that was when I made the big jump in my career.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do in that year? Like, how did you get better? Who did you work with?
So I came back to the same club, Minas, where I was playing. And me, my agent, we just talked to the guys from the strength coach staff and the coaches. And they were like, oh, look, he needs to improve that, that, and that. And we were working the whole year on that, like stuff that I need to improve. First step, like jumps, I got to jump higher. On defense, move laterally quicker. So I just came back and really was just hard work, like lifting and doing extra work. And one year when I got here, that was a huge difference for me. I was way better, but I still like a guy under, because in Brazil I was very athletic, very all that. When I
Yeah.
came here, I was just a normal guy because I remember right after I got drafted, I was working out with JK. Comiga, he was just putting his head on the rim and like, can't do that. I'm not athletic.
You know what? I don't know that anybody feels athletic if they're next to Jonathan Kuminga. That's
Yeah,
he's setting the bar pretty high.
crazy.
By the way, your Wikipedia page has you in a Wizards jersey. Were you aware of that?
I know. When
What's up with that?
So I think that was my first draft workout in 2021, and I did
Okay.
an interview with them. But I
Okay.
don't know why in the Wikipedia I always show this picture, man. Somebody gotta change it. I don't know how to do it.
You got to get Ray Ritter. Ray Ritter will get that done.
Oh
Get
yeah,
on Ray Ritter. He will get that changed, and he will have a motivation to get it changed.
yeah.
Yeah. But going a little bit back to Brazilian basketball, just me knowing, understanding, let's say, respecting Brazilian basketball. I played against Brazilian national team during my career, and I also remember like late '90s, especially 2000s. There was quite a few Brazilian players in the league. You're the only one now, as we established. Why you think is that? Are there other players that could be up and coming that you kind of follow, you kind of see with maybe the same generation as you, or maybe a little bit younger?
So like you said, I had it 1 year in 2000, probably like 13, 14. We had like 9 Brazilian players at the same time in the league. We have like Raul Neto, we had Nenê, Leandro Barbosa, Anderson Varejão, Thiago
Yep.
Splitter, Felicio. Like we had a bunch of players.
Hmm.
And just because I think the national team and the league in Brazil was not doing too well, we were not making players. The exposure in the national team was not too big because this guy, they were the stars.
Mhm.
So they always has to be in the national team. And because of that, a lot of guys didn't have the opportunity to show themselves internationally. You know what I mean? So I think that was one of the facts, but the most important fact that I'm gonna say is just because we didn't have the government, like giving money in like resources for athletes at all in Brazil in all
Mhm.
sports, not just basketball, but in Brazil, like you guys know, everybody plays soccer, so they have a lot of money in soccer, and other sports like basketball, like swimming and all that, they didn't have that much money into that. So
Hmm.
it's tough to develop another sport if you don't have money.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest reasons for we don't have a lot of players. And right now, like you guys asked me about a couple players that can be in the NBA. I had a couple names. There is a couple good guys. They were in college right now. They are in college. There's one, Eduardo Claffey. Samis Calderon, he's really good too. Reynan dos Santos, he's been playing in G League right now. He's really good too. But in this list, there's 2 young guys and nice, very, very good. And I'm like, they just not gonna make to the NBA if they don't want to make it because they have the size, they have the IQ, they have the ability, they have like the body for it. It's Matias Vasquez. I don't know if you guys heard about him, but he was in Europe. He was killing. Now he's playing overtime league. And my
Mhm.
brother, he's both are like,
That's right.
yeah, both. One is born in 2008, Matias, and my brother is born in 2009. So my brother is taller than me. He's almost like same strong than me right now. And by his age, I was not even close to that.
Where,
And
where does your brother play? I'm sorry. Where is he playing right now?
he's gonna play in Pinheiros in São Paulo because I like the fact of him like being playing with the pros before bringing him to
Mhm.
America,
Mhm.
because now the NIL and all that change. So I would like that for him. And Matias, he's playing overtime.
Yeah.
And my brother, he's just like a guy that can do everything. He can dribble the ball, he can shoot the ball, he can use his body very well. And I like that for him because we've been playing one on one. I've been teaching him a lot of stuff. And because of that, it's good for him because he learns. Actually, he's playing right now. He's playing the U17, the same championship that I won when I was
Yep.
17.
Yep.
He's playing in a national team 1 year older. So,
Okay.
and he's actually playing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm watching him right now too. He's playing right now.
Thank you for the full disclosure. And you're doing great because most of the time, if somebody's watching something else, they're not
No,
locked
no,
in.
no. I'm just.
Yeah.
I
I give
mean,
you
I'm
credit.
not there, but he just made an N1, and I gotta keep myself. No, but yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But you also mentioned one thing that I could quickly discuss is European path, right? Like a lot of Brazilian players will play in Europe. Has that ever been your possibility as well? Like just thinking about it. I'm sure you had your mindset on the NBA, playing at the best possible league with and against best players, but playing in Europe is like the second best option, right? And what have you heard about it? What do you know about it? Is that maybe a possibility down the line for you as well if the NBA career doesn't turn out the way you would like it to be?
Exactly. For me, like you said, like my first goal was go to the NBA. I was like, I want to make to the NBA. I want to be because all kids that play basketball, all of them want to play in the NBA. So that was my goal. I said I want to play the NBA. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to like achieve that goal, and that was kind of like a dream coming true. And for me, I like the idea of Europe too because I love the basketball there. I love FIBA basketball. NBA they have a lot of like rules and kind of like on defense you cannot touch too much. And on FIBA is real like physical. You can get into the guy, you can get the thing personal, you can grab him, you can like play more basketball, move the ball and all that. So I love the FIBA basketball. I love Europe too. After my career is done here in the NBA, I want to go to Europe, play somewhere but I want to finish my career in Brazil, playing in a club in Brazil. That would be nice for me. But I also want an opportunity to play in Europe one day.
And before we let you go, how much do you want the opportunity to get back to playing point guard or running the show? Is that something that like you want to find at some point to say, hey, I can do a little bit more than what I'm doing right now?
Man, I would love to do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm here. I'm with the Warriors. I'm being professional, do what I gotta do. But like, if I had to go to Europe or even go back to Brazil or playing somewhere, I want to tell them like, man, look, I know you guys watch me play for the Warriors. I know you guys saw me grabbing rebounds and playing hard, but I'm also a point guard. Let me start playing like that. Let me show you the guys what I can do. And if you guys don't like it, I come back to that role and keep doing it.
Do you have such role or at least some minutes in this role with the national team with Brazil, and would you like to see that happen in with the national team?
Yeah. I would. I love to play for Brazil for the national team. I played the World Cup, I played Olympics already for them. But I think I want to play more as a point guard too because we had Huertas, and when you have a guy like that, man, ball gotta go through him.
Sure.
Of
It's
course,
just like
of course.
the ball gotta go through him. He run everything. He's so calm. He can control the game. He can score whenever he wants. He can find all the passes. So every time that I was playing, he was there. Him and Iago Mateus that play in Serbia now,
Hmm.
both were playing, and I had no chance to play as a point guard. So I was making more like shooting decision. I had to take my decisions over somebody go to the paint and pass the ball out, spray it out, and then it's when I attack it. But I wish that one day I can play as a point guard, run pick and rolls and all that.
Maybe last question. What do you think you guys need to do to kind of crack the top 10 and in FIBA rankings? I think you're ranked number 10 right now. Do you guys look forward to any competitions that are coming up in the next couple of years, or you're focused solely on club basketball and national team comes after?
No, we definitely we want to go up on that. It's good for Brazil. It's good for the things that I told you guys about the money, the investments in basketball in Brazil. So if we go high, automatically the money, the everything they put into resources to help us, that's gonna go high too. So for me, it's very important for us to bring that up, and we all know it. We know that like in competitions, we gotta just go and do whatever we gotta do to make us win or get as we can. Like in the Olympics, I remember that we were playing really close games. We played Japan, we won. We played Germany, we lost by like 5 or something like that. We played France with Wemby, and we lost by 4, 5-2. And our goal was just make to the quarterfinals, and quarterfinals is just one game. That happens, and we just faced USA. So we had a bad luck. We had the Avengers against us. So, but looking forward for the next couple competitions, we had the World Cup coming up for us. What's the qualifiers just start?
Hmm.
So we won the 2 games, and we doing good to qualify for the World Cup. But I'm sure that we're gonna make it. And when we make it, we just gotta play really well. We gotta play together. So, like I said, we can put Brazil going up on the FIBA rank.
Awesome.
Well, Guy, we look forward to continuing to watch you with the Warriors. Look forward to at some point getting to see you showcase your entire game that I'm confident you have in there somewhere, just waiting, incubating. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us here, and we look forward to having you again sometime down the line.
And,
All right.
and good luck to your brother in the game.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate you guys.
Take care.
All right.
Take care.
That was Gui Santos. That was good stuff. I
It
always
was.
like the Easter eggs when you get somebody who doesn't necessarily get a whole lot of shine in the NBA, right? And you get to find out about their journey and how far their Wikipedia page is off in terms of what actually transpired. Because that whole, I forgot that he was right in that nexus of COVID upsetting things. And so the Hoop Summit really didn't happen for him, even though it's listed as him being invited. And I don't remember, well, there was no game. So that's why,
Yeah.
that's why
I
there
mean,
was no
he was
mention of it.
invited. He's one of the elite players who, in that age, gets a chance to play that. I mean, I can tell you from my experience, even though that was more than 25 years ago. Wow, it's a lot when I say it.
Yeah.
But it's a huge experience. Like for many young players, especially then, especially those who don't go play high school or college, it's the first time you really go to the States as a basketball player.
Yeah.
And you first time you experience different food, big cities, wide roads. For me, I remember I was still like watching these big trucks, Mack trucks run down the roads while I was going to practice. It was kind of like living a dream.
Interesting.
But it's a first time you get close to that, but a huge experience, and I'm happy that Nike Hoop Summit has been one of those leading events for
Yeah.
exposure of international players throughout the years.
What was it like facing, if that was the first time that you faced American talent?
I could notice right away the speed and the different physicality, athleticism. I shouldn't say physicality, athleticism of players. Just we talk about this so much, like being from Europe, like we're used to a slower pace, more controlled game. You move bodies, you move the ball. That's how you get open and all that. Whereas playing against U.S. team or a Hoop Summit team at that time was just another level. They were so quick, they were so fast, they were so athletic. You adjust during the game, but that initial start, it's kind of like takes you back a little bit when you see it live.
All right. Well, let's move on to our game of the week, even though it's game of the week because of the time that we are recording this show. As we both know, the real game of the week is happening in the next 24 hours.
Right. I
With
mean, we like you said, the time we recorded this show, just only one game this week concluded, which is Maccabi against Asvel, and Maccabi Tel Aviv playing home for the first time after 2 years because of the situation in Israel over the last few years, I should say, and the games are now back, and the first game already offered. I mean, it was an emotional return for players, fans, but even more than that, the excitement of the game itself and the competitiveness during the game was basically second to none. Asvel hung in the game basically until the last few minutes, and Maccabi was able to pull off in the last few minutes, get the win. Lonnie Walker was tremendous, 29 points for the home team. Roman Sorkin as well played really good. And on the Asvel side, one of the best players that continues that is extremely consistent and just so good every time he steps on the floor is also ex-NBA player Nando De Colo. I mean, Asvel is staying on the bottom of the standings together with Maccabi for now. But yeah, Maccabi is going to be dangerous going forward now that they play at home.
I was going to say, how much of a difference do you think that is going to make for them and their ability to make a jump? Because I'm not used to seeing Maccabi in this place in the
Yeah.
table, but I didn't know how much of that you would attribute to their circumstance.
Well, some for sure, or a lot, I would even say. But on the other side, you do have Hapoel Tel Aviv that also played on a
Yep.
neutral court, and they're first in the standings, right? 10
Yep.
wins, 4 losses at the moment. So one could argue, like, yeah, it shouldn't be that much of an effect. But I mean, definitely helps to play at home, in your home city, in your home arena, in front of full arena, full of fans. That's going to be, Maccabi has always been a difficult place to go and play. And they've been always a very good home team. I don't expect nothing different this time around. They'll be a tough team to beat on the road.
So was Hapoel also playing outside of Tel
Yeah,
Aviv
yeah,
this whole time?
they were playing in Sofia in Bulgaria. So both teams were on neutral sites until basically now. This week, games returned back to Tel Aviv, to Israel.
So I also watched Asvel play Hapoel with their first, what I believe was their first home game, and it was very, very sparsely attended. I mean, there was really no home court advantage, which is kind of makes me wonder, how much are you going to gain by going home? It's almost worse you go home and you don't have support as opposed to you're in a neutral site. You know what I mean?
I mean, they were playing great, but it could be argued, or maybe it's obvious. It's a great team, right? It doesn't affect them where they play, even if their home, quote unquote, home games have been on a neutral site. I mean, you would expect that them playing at home in front of their fans is going to elevate their game even more.
Yep.
Or we'll see that could bring them under more pressure, which I don't anticipate, but it could happen. So. It'll be interesting to see this going forward, and especially for me, it's going to be interesting to see whether Maccabi is going to be able to climb the standings. Now they have basically the wind in their backs, meaning that they're playing at home and they're on the bottom of the standings. But let's see if they can turn it around.
I was impressed by Vasily Micic. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
As I'm watching him, I'm like, man, he could play. He could be in the NBA. Like, he could be playing in the NBA without question. Do you have any insight into decisions that he's made in terms of where he's playing now versus where I think it was with Milwaukee maybe the last time we saw him? I was always impressed with his game when he was in the NBA as well. But I was just curious, like, why someone would make that decision.
Me knowing Vasa, I would assume and I would think that he just wanted to play, and he was looking obviously for the best financial / basketball opportunity back in Europe where he could have the leading role.
Yeah,
kind of like what Guy was saying, right? Having the ball in your hands and being the decision maker, and that's it. Why it didn't materialize for him in the NBA, of course, we could talk about it probably for an hour or hours. But he's a very capable player. I mean, EuroLeague MVP, made big shots to win in the past as Anadolu Efes player for team in Istanbul.
He reminds me a lot of Doncic with a little less ball dominance.
I agree.
I think he gives the ball up quicker and he plays a little bit faster, which again, I would think would make him more suitable for the NBA game than some other guys. But I suspected that it was because he does have all that talent and being able to orchestrate a team. I could see where it would be frustrating to be in the NBA and you're playing more of a Gui Santos role when you can play the game at a higher level or more involved way.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I don't think in the NBA he ever received the proper opportunity to show what he can do. Yeah, here and there he did, and he played some games and had some good games, but as a whole, he never was really given that opportunity, or he couldn't hold on to that opportunity that maybe he got at a certain point. But there's been other players, European players, who went through a very similar thing, who never really got the full opportunity or used the full potential to play in the NBA. Like, one player that is different comes to mind is Sasha Vezenko with Olympiacos. Every time he steps on the court in EuroLeague, he's going to do his thing, and he's just an incredible scorer, plays pretty much without putting the ball on the floor, moves so well and shoots so well that he's just a dangerous player. And you would think a guy like this with such size and such a soft shooting hand, he would fit into every system, and he couldn't make it work with Sacramento Kings, or Sacramento Kings couldn't make it work with him, and return to come back and be the main guy in one of the best European teams in Olympiacos. So these things do happen, and I will never blame or look badly a player that decides to do that.
Yeah,
coming back and being the main guy in this league is a lot. I
totally get it. I mean, at the end of the day, you've only got so many years of being able to play, and you can make the sacrifice and say, I'm going to be a role player and I get all of the accolades and the bells and whistles that you get playing in the NBA. There's a lot of nice dividends that come with that. But if you really want to see just how great you can be in terms of leading a team somewhere, I'm never going to fault. In fact, I respect that maybe as much or more, because you're choosing the game and the challenge, putting it on your shoulders over just being a part of. They're different challenges, but I'm certainly not going to look at one as being less than the other. And I might even say, your willingness to go someplace where it's all on you is testing yourself to the nth degree.
It is, and also, for both names you mentioned, and there's others, whether it's Sasha Micic or Sasha Vezenko, it's about winning as well. Like they won here and they tasted that, and they came back again to a situation where they can be successful. Because one thing about European basketball, and yeah, I mean, there's of course similarities. You can draw similarities to any league in the world, including NBA, but man, in some of the places in Europe, more so, if you win in those teams and those cities, like you're eternal. Those fans, those fiery fans, they will never forget your name. I literally mean like never, right?
Yeah.
And that means something for some of those players who are
Sure.
seeking that eternal glory, if you want me to put it that
Sure.
way. Like,
Sure.
but it is sometimes when I talk about players going to Europe or returning to Europe, some people don't, especially not from Europe, don't fully understand it. They think, hey, they're going now to an environment that is far less than what we know in the NBA, including contractually or as far as rights of the players and conditions. Not necessarily so. Like, sure, the finances are not to where the NBA is. NBA is by far if you want me to say, the richest league when it comes to players' contracts, right? They can be compared. But it's not just that, right? There's more to it, and the conditions that some teams are offering, and the environment, and also contractual security. It's much better, or a lot better than some people maybe in the States, for example, will think about when they think about Europe. So, but there are layers to European basketball, as we discussed. There's EuroLeague, and there's other leagues that are lower leagues that don't offer same conditions, are not up to the level of EuroLeague or the NBA.
So that is a change, and I don't know that a lot of people in the States are aware of how much EuroLeague has upgraded how players are handled. And it's funny because we had Donatas Montayunas on, and he was talking about being in China with a Chinese team and how the coach wanted to get rid of him because he had been injured, and they brought somebody else in, and that's how I thought of EuroLeague for a long time, where it's like, if you weren't producing or you got injured, like your contract, they'd find a way to get out of the contract or challenge you to go ahead legally, try to battle us. And most guys didn't have the wherewithal or the willingness to do that. But you mentioned it in the last episode, and so I wanted to explore that a little bit more, like how much things have changed, how different it is in the EuroLeague now.
Yeah, it's true. Like, if it's been like that, right? If you look 20 years ago or something like this, where every team, not just in EuroLeague but in Europe, basically could offer its own version of a contract. Like, you negotiated your clauses, like what your rights are. It wasn't really a uniform player contract like in NBA. EuroLeague recently, also with the establishment of the Player Association, like established a standard player contract, which is a guaranteed contract, especially in cases of injuries or poor performance and things like that. It doesn't affect your contract. Clubs cannot just say, "Hey, we'll just sign somebody else and then we'll see you in court." Players will seek a full financial compensation if the contract is terminated unrightfully. So there's protections there for players now that maybe were not there in the past, 10 or maybe 15, 20 years ago. And some of these players who returned back to the States probably did speak badly about European basketball, and rightfully so. I've been also in situations as a player where not everything was smooth, and there were issues. I'm talking about way in the past. But that's, at least for EuroLeague basketball, that's in the past, right? And these standards have been raised, elevated, and that's why you also see more and more American NBA players coming over and having a career and seeking a career in EuroLeague, and not just going to the top teams like Real Madrid or Barcelona or whoever it is. You would have a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, who will go to Bayern Munich, who's a team that usually is not making the playoffs or never made Final Four, for example, right? So yeah, these opportunities now are here. The contracts are guaranteed. The cities are beautiful. Teams are offering better and better conditions, and life as a EuroLeague player is pretty damn good.
Yeah. How did you make that happen in terms of getting the owners and the teams to agree to something that's more equitable for the players? Because it's, as we've talked about, the EuroLeague isn't as uniform and connected as we think the NBA and a lot of other leagues, maybe domestic leagues, are, right? So how did you convince all these owners in these different countries that giving players a certain degree of security was actually in their best interest.
I'll take some of the credit because some of it is negotiation and it is, pushing back and taking some things or accepting some things that are maybe less important for players, but more important for the clubs and vice versa. But I think part of it is also natural evolution, to be honest. The league had to evolve, had to professionalize itself, had to raise its standards in order to continue to grow. And I think that's super important. I think you need those challenges. I think EuroLeague needed a challenge from the players as a collective in order to grow. And that's why we've seen raised standards and raised conditions. And sure, we have a long way to go. By no means I'm saying that EuroLeague, when it comes to conditions of the players, is what it needs to be. There's still a lot of things that needs to be fixed, especially in the travel conditions, especially in the medical part of clubs and the league on how data is collected and what do we do with it and how to improve the medical staff of the clubs to keep healthier players for longer and things like that. There's many avenues. The training conditions, the training facilities, some clubs have them on an NBA level, many clubs still don't. So it's still a progress that we're talking about. But the league, if I look at it now compared to 10 or 15 years ago, has made a huge step forward. There's more teams, there's more games, there's more revenue. And with that, the league itself is growing as well. And of course, part of it is a negotiation, is a push-pull kind of situation.
Yeah. What is one of the other improvements that has been made that maybe people in the States aren't aware of or didn't think was happening in EuroLeague? And what's the next one that you want to get?
I mean, the one that I mentioned, and sometimes people that know me for a while always laugh about it, but I have to go from the start. When we started in 2018, players, believe it or not, on the road were staying in double rooms. Okay. Right? So that basic, I'm talking about basic, right? Yeah. So we negotiated single rooms. We negotiated to remove the stickers from the court, the slippery stickers. We've negotiated practice conditions, meaning a certain number of days for training camp, certain number of hours that you can practice during the season and things like that, just to get those basic working conditions in order. So that was the first step. The second step was to establish a system where if overdue salaries happen, which occasionally in EuroLeague still do, that there's a system behind how players can recuperate that. And we run this system together with EuroLeague. So when players have an overdue situation, they contact us and we get in touch with the league to make sure that that club is put on notice that they cannot sign or register any new player or coach before previous players are paid in full. So it's a system that is really working. Second medical opinion was a big one, right? Players in the past didn't have rights to seek second medical opinion outside of the club's medical staff. That's not always good. I'm not saying all the doctors in EuroLeague clubs or European clubs are shady. Sometimes somebody else knows more than you. It's just
right.
It's just
or they're not equal at every club. Right.
Exactly. And so those were some of the things. So health, finances, things like that. And there's, of course, our CBA is not nearly as long as NBA CBA. But there's things in there that help players as professionals in this league, including the minimum salary and other things. But looking forward, we need to still improve in conditions of players, travel conditions, training conditions, things like that. And looking even further, pension for players. There's no pension system that exists for European players. So generation after generation of top players in Europe never earned pension by playing in this league or any league for that matter that is international in Europe. And that has to change going forward because these are stars of the league. These are the players that create the league, that sustain the league, that make the league what it is.
Yeah.
We can't just say goodbye to them once their contract is up. They give too much to this league to not compensate it down the line after later in the life. So that's the big one for the future.
That's a great point. You said something, the stickers removed. What was that you said?
Stickers meaning the commercial stickers that were in the past put, and in most leagues in Europe, they still do that. They would put stickers inside of the court, meaning in the paint, on the free throw line, inside the 3-point line, there would be a sticker, a physical sticker with the name of a car manufacturer or name of
Right.
the hotel or whatever. And the issue with that was that majority of these stickers were bad quality and they were very slippery. Players
Uh-huh.
would get injured if they stepped on it. Okay, not all the time, but at times
Yeah.
we've seen some severe injuries happen. And of course, there was a cost
Sure.
thing that we had to negotiate, because
Sure.
removing the stickers means less sponsorship, at least in that kind of way for
Right.
clubs. So clubs
Right.
have to become more innovative on how they could advertise sponsors, but not with the stickers. That's why the sponsorship names that you see on yearly courts are painted from now on. They used to be all stickers. Now they can
Interesting.
only be painted.
Well,
So
they have the laser technology now,
yeah,
and you can
yeah,
see it where, especially with TV, where they can change it out, and it's not actually, there's nothing there in real time. If you're attending the game, you can't see anything; it's a blank wall.
yeah.
But on TV, you're seeing a different sponsor in that space every 30
Well,
seconds or minute.
I mean, that's where I'm kind of surprised still, to be honest, that NBA still did not, let's say, adopt the LED floor that we
Yeah,
see in EuroLeague. Panathinaikos in Athens is using that. I mean, to me, that's the future. It's a non-slippery material. Still has to improve a little bit. It's still a little bit warm and a little bit shiny, but you can. It's like having a tablet. It's like having an
yeah,
iPad, and you can
yeah,
do
yeah,
anything you want on that court. You don't need laser. You don't need stickers.
yeah.
And I think that's where the future is, and that's why the NBA Cup courts.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to do that. They wouldn't
They
have
don't
to
have
put
to.
in
You don't have to do that.
completely different NBA Cup courts.
Exactly, and you don't need to have players complaining that it's slippery, like I've seen with the Lakers that now removed it. And I think and they look ugly. Like I'll just be honest, they don't
Yeah.
look good.
There was one
And
or two. I can't tell you now which ones they were. There was one or two that I liked, but for the vast majority, you're
yeah,
like, "What is this?"
yeah,
I can barely see the players
it's
getting
very
up and down the
it's
court.
yeah, it's tough to watch.
It's
I'll be honest.
distracting.
Maybe younger generational fans like it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
to me, I don't, and that's why I'm saying that I think the LED floors are the future. I just yeah, it still needs to improve a little bit, but I think that's where it's going.
All right. Well, we can't do any more improvement on this particular show. Guy knocked it out of the park. Fascinating story about what's going on with Hapoel and Maccabi in terms of
Mhm.
getting back to Tel Aviv and how that might impact the table in EuroLeague. As always, Boki, a pleasure to get all your insight and chat it up for a bit. We will do it again next week.
See you next time.